If you're still with me, and I hope you are, especially if you're a science fiction lover and a fan of the Matrix movie as I am, this next episode is very important because it leads to the right path, but it's also very dangerous. And what I mean by that, and that's often the way it is with retreats, often it is the way with spiritual growth. At the beginning of the movie, before Thomas Anderson, Mr. Anderson, is awakened from his cocoon in the Matrix, he's confronted with his boss at work, who is the boss of a very successful software company. And he tells them right at the outset, you have a problem with authority. And you have to be here on time. Either you follow the rules or you look for a different job. Do I make myself clear, Mr. Anderson? And of course, Keanu Reeves says, yes, you made yourself perfectly clear. So what can we draw from that spiritually as we try to grow in our faith and appreciation for what our faith is leading us to? Number one, there is an aspect of deep faith that seems to push aside rules. We hear it, of course, in St. Paul when he says, when you live by faith, you don't have to follow the law. We know that at times when you're growing in maturity, you recognize that certain rules, shall we say, rules for the playground, no longer apply when you're in high school. And then certain rules that high school people have to abide by no longer apply when you're in college. And then those rules no longer apply later as you grow and advance in maturity. But I say this is a very dangerous aspect of the spiritual journey, because I believe it's in that aspect of the Matrix that I have no proof of this, but I sense that is the kind of rebellious spirit that contributed even to the monstrous act of those teenagers who shot up their classmates at the Columbine High School in Colorado. If you remember, that was one of the first big mass shootings. And it was around the time of the release of The Matrix. As I say, I have no proof of it, but I could just see those two high school kids thinking, this Mr. Anderson, who's breaking away from the authoritarian grip of the evil Matrix, and in their mind they would say the conventional wisdom of modern America is parallel to the Matrix, and we have to break away from police and business authorities and political authorities and all the rest. It's a trap, my friends, that almost all young people go through when they are sensing that there is a deeper path that is not guided just by rules, but by truth and values. And that's what you and I have to discover, and to see how the rules oftentimes are necessary in our fallen world. And the goal of the Christian life, like Jesus says, is not to do away with the law, but to fulfill the laws. So here's Thomas Anderson talking with his boss, and he's willing to accept the parameters of being at work on time, but still the nagging wonderment is in his mind. That's I believe what the in the scene, if you remember, there's window washers outside, and the squeaking of the squeegees is heard during the conversation between Thomas Anderson and his boss. And I believe that's the producer's way of saying something is nagging, something is knocking at his consciousness, as it were. And you and I, my friends, have to pay attention to what knocks at our consciousness. As I say, it could be the grace of God that will lead us to greater holiness, greater love, greater justice and mercy. It can also be an annoying part of our conscience that wants to rebel and destroy, not pursue real wisdom and real truth. So continue with me. Don't forget to subscribe to Unlike Other Nations. God bless you, and have a good and holy and fruitful Lent.